It's the three-man weave. Here we are for the first time in Studio S history, Market Movers history. We have just to my left, Captain Jack Andrews from Unabated, and of course, our founder and CEO, Alex Kane, all the way on the other end of the table. Gentlemen, this is exciting. We've never had three people sardine canned in this 10 by 10 room, but I got to say, I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the friction. It feels good.
It's three guys, two mics.
Well, I'm not gonna touch that one. That is Captain Jack from Unabated. This is a family show, so we're not gonna expand upon that comment. Real quick before we hop into the discussion today, that's the Unabated screen. We will talk about Unabated momentarily, but the sweepstakes here are Market Movers. Follow us at Sport Trade App on Twitter, and then quote tweet the Market Movers program with hashtag TradeUpNewJersey for your opportunity to win $100. I say opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and say this as the executive producer of this program. Pretty good shot to win $100 if you enter this one. So go ahead and tweet us, Trade Up New Jersey, hashtag it, win $100, and you can use that to trade on all kinds of things, which include, Alex Kane, soccer on our platform. World Cup now in its, what's today, Tuesday, so it's third day of trading soccer on Sport Trade. It has been a really fun experience for those who may not be used to betting on soccer or World Cup or what have you. From your vantage point, what has it been like? What's it looked like?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've been using the beta app and trading a ton myself. I'm actually in a bit of a pool with some of my friends back from home that aren't in New Jersey and still want to trade on the app. So we've been texting back and forth. We've been buying futures. We've been buying and selling the win, loss, draw, and sharing our stories. Some of the things that we've seen in production, we've seen a couple of...
Do me a favor, talking to the mic.
Perfect. We've seen a couple of 100-plus contract trades in production, which is really cool on some of the futures markets. We have a customer that bought Croatia here, 153 contracts at $1.20. We had another customer buy 132 contracts at $2.30. We had another customer bought 157 contracts of Ecuador at 60 cents.
Say that again. How many?
So we have 157 at Ecuador at 60 cents.
Okay.
We have 153 of Croatia at $1.20. And we have 132.5 at Uruguay at $2.30. So people are taking their shots here, and that's the magic of the sport trade, right, Jack, is that, okay, Uruguay might not win, but if they get into the bracket play, they might go from $2 to $6. And if you buy 100 contracts, that's a $400 profit. So that's what we've seen so far in the soccer markets.
I know we were talking a little bit ago, Jack, about you've never once placed a trade on soccer in your entire betting life. Feel free to pull that closer to you guys as you want to talk as well. You were saying you've never placed a trade or a bet at any sort on soccer that you can remember.
To the best of my knowledge, I have never placed a bet on soccer. Now you're saying, how can you be a professional gambler, professional bettor, huge ego that I have in terms of Twitter, and I've never placed a soccer bet. Not that I can remember. I might have placed something somewhere just based on some angle, some correlated parlay, things like that. But no, it's just as the books have too much surface area to defend sometimes, sometimes a professional bettor has too much surface area to try to attack. So, yeah, for the most part, I've never been big into soccer.
This is obviously dominating the conversation everywhere. On every social media platform, people, if they still worked in offices, at their water cooler, etc., there is obviously a communal aspect to this where people who are trading on sports, betting on sports, what have you, want to be involved in the conversation. But they probably either haven't watched a soccer game since the last World Cup or the Euros 2 years ago, or just don't understand the game in general. So what would your advice be to anyone watching this who wants to jump in on a sport, could be soccer, could be anything, a sport they're not familiar with, but wants to trade it? And that could be as simple as don't.
Yeah, so that's my first point is you don't have to bet. Just because everyone's betting something, you don't have to bet. You can lie and say, oh, I had Saudi Arabia to beat Argentina. That's probably not a good lie because they were 25-1 in the markets, and I don't think too many people had that bet. But the second is you can find your bet. You can find what you want to bet on. And don't confuse, especially as we get into elimination games, don't confuse the odds to win in regulation versus the odds to advance. Those are two different bets. You might want to have to Google what an Asian handicap is. There's an article right on unabated.com. And because some people look at minus 1.25 and say, oh, that must be the same as minus 1.5. They're just doing it differently. No, minus 1.25 is an Asian handicap, and half of your bet is at -1.5, and half of your bet is at -1, and it's basically like having two bets on the same event. So there's a lot of different things with soccer betting that's not necessarily native to U.S. bettors, and it pays to kind of do a little bit of research before you make your bet if you're going to make a bet.
So about 4 World Cup games every day. You'll be able to find them on Sporttrade. We do want to make a note, though. Some of these games, obviously being played in Qatar, with the time difference, start and end prior to the opening of our exchange at 9 o'clock every day. So we want to say, for those games specifically, and only those games, Alex Kane, you won't be able to trade them, but you can trade on them beforehand, the night before or the day before when the exchange is open. You just won't be able to do so when it's actually going on.
That's correct. And if there were anyone, I didn't check, but if there was anyone that bought Saudi Arabia, before the game yesterday with hopes of trading out, it's almost a good thing the exchange wasn't open. You had said 25 to 1 to win. So that would have been about $3 or $4 on the Sporttrade. Wow. What a huge trade that would have been.
That is a huge trade. I'm going to do something real quick right here, live on the show. We're going to move this so we can see your face. Move that down. Put that up. Perfect.
Oh,
there we go.
nice.
Now we can see your faces.
But now I can't see my unabated screen.
Well, you know what? We're benefiting the viewer, not so much ourselves. Okay, so Thursday, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you both. Thanks for being here, first and foremost. We have 3 football games, and I'll put the pricing up for each of them, and we'll just kind of go left to right here. We'll start with the Patriots and Vikings, Captain Jack. The Vikings get absolutely embarrassed just 3 days ago, and now they host probably a better defense than the one that just came and wiped the floor with them in the New England Patriots, a team that's allowing less than 13 points a game in the last 6 weeks. How do you size this one up?
So this is probably potentially the best game on the card. The other two look like they could be blowouts. There's a good chance that this is a spot where Minnesota comes back and says, you know what, that was a fluke against Dallas. I don't think it was a fluke. I think Dallas is that good. I think Minnesota's not that good. And this could be a spot where New England says, you know what, we can really stick it to Minnesota. They're coming off that embarrassing loss. We can, definitely overpower this team. Minnesota is who we thought they were. So this is the game that I don't really have too much of a lean. I'm probably going to be taking a teaser on this personally, but I'll be teasing New England up to the 8.5. But for the most part, this is a game that I'm kind of laying off. I sort of like the under, if anything. There's about 40. 41.5 is the line at Sporttrade. So that's the one where I don't like to go past the 41. We've talked about that before. So if I'm going to play this, I'm playing the under 41.5 and hoping to get a little slightly better price.
To everyone commenting on YouTube, move the microphone. We did it. Relax. Okay. Yes, the under 41.5. I think that's a low number, but as we've talked on this show many times, it could go a lot lower. So I think the fact that it's at 41.5, not the lowest, right? It's not the floor of the floor, but at 48.5, it's still sort of in the value range, I'll call it. I'm not going to call it plus. I'm not going to call it that. We don't do American odds here. But I will say it's definitely a good value. So I think I would be on the under 41.5. Giants-Cowboys, the Fraud Bowl. Even though you seem to think the Cowboys are good, I will refuse to allow myself to think that. The Giants have feasted off one of the easiest schedules in the NFL all season, and I think that's reflected in the pricing. This is actually flipped and reversed. This says Giants 78. It is Cowboys 78, so disregard that. The Giants are trading at 23, so apologies to the viewers. The guy makes the graphic, not paying attention there. That's me.
Fraud Bowl, indeed.
Yeah, well, considering the graphic is a fraud, yes. So, Captain Jack, it seems like you think the Cowboys are a runaway here.
Well, no, I think that line is correct. That's what I think. If this were to go to 10, I would think about the Giants. Anytime you have a division game and you're getting 10 points, that's too much. But right now, it's still under 10, 9.5. We could see a lot of public money come in on Thanksgiving Day. Here's what the public likes to do. A 3-team parlay on Thanksgiving Day. Bing, bang, boom. Pick your winners of all 3 games. Or they do a 3-team teaser, which I'm sure is going to be popular as well. People are going to tease the Bills, the Cowboys, and New England. Look, you don't need to correlate everything on Thanksgiving Day just because you're going to be watching all 3 games. Go ahead and bet them independently. The prices on Sporttrade are some of the best out there at -8.5. that 9 is really a dead number. So getting that 8.5 isn't necessarily a big deal, but it's significant enough because the VIG is so low due to the very thin straddle at Sport Trade.
I think there is a path to the Giants winning this game. I don't think it will happen, but the Cowboys are allowing 173 yards rushing per game their last 3. Now, that's a little skewed because Justin Fields ran for 175 himself. However, on the season, the Cowboys are allowing 136 yards rushing as a defense, one of the highest numbers in the entire league. The only thing the Giants can do is run the football. So if they're able to do that successfully, then it's a shorter game. You're condensing the amount of plays the Cowboys can get on offense, conceivably making it a tighter game. I don't think that's going to happen. Dan Quinn's not a moron. He knows the same thing that we know. So they'll stack the box and make efforts to make Saquon Barkley's day difficult. But that is the path that I see for the Giants to be able to be competitive. Our last game here, Bills at Lions. I got to tell you, a lot of people have been reaching out to me today saying, look out for those Lions. And I got to tell you, don't bet the Lions. Do not trade the Lions. I'm sorry. 3 straight wins over the Packers, over the Bears, and over the Giants, who we just said were pretty fraudulent. So I'm not buying the Lions in any way, shape, or form, despite the fact they've won 3 in a row. Bills trading at almost $80, which tells you all I think you need to know about the sentiment on them, despite the fact that they're 6-3 or 7-3 now, and it's an 8.5-point line. The over at 53.5. I know the Lions have a great offense at times. The Bills have a great defense almost every weekend. So to me, 53.5 to the under, trading at 49 seems right to me.
Yes, that would be the angle I take.
If you were
dull, but I don't.
If you were not sharp, if you were
no. I just don't like this game to watch. Like, this is a game that when my wife says, okay, it's time to sit down to eat, and that's just as the first quarter's ending, I'll be like, yeah, cool. I'm good to not watch the rest of this one because it'll already be like 14-0 Buffalo at the end of the first quarter. I just don't see this to being a competitive game. Lions could backdoor it. It could go over. It could go under. I'm very wishy-washy because I just don't see this as a good game, like as a game people are going to want to watch. This is like a Thursday night game on a Thursday afternoon.
Alex, do you have any thoughts on any of these 3 games? Bear in mind, you cannot buy the Cowboys at 23.
Yes.
Because I messed up the graphic.
Well, I mean, so no opinions. I mean, I do see Jack and I have the unabated screen open. I see a lot of green, and green means
good.
Green means good, right?
Yeah. So we'll pull that up now. So you've got the unabated screen here on the show.
Perfect. And Dan, if you wouldn't mind going to let's say like NFL totals.
Yeah.
And then there, that hold thing in the top center. There we go. Press it one time. One more. That like down arrow.
A little to the right.
There we go.
There we go. Oh,
and
yeah,
so what
now
this
we're
game,
cooking. Now
what
we're
this
cooking.
what this does is it what Unabated's so great at is it will find you the best price of every single book that you choose venue, including Sport Trade. And then it will tell you, like, if you were to bet both sides, when you see green, and it says negative 1.73% for Saints 49ers, that actually means positive 1.73% for every $100 you kind of put down equally on both sides, you can make an edge. So when I bet, I just go to unabated and I sort in descending hold, and then that's how I find my bet for the day. And I kind of just root on that because I'm not the sports expert that you and Dan are. I don't really know a lot of the players, but I know that, if I could get under 41.5 on Sport Trade at 44 and, Unabated's telling me that's a plus 1.2% theoretical edge. Theoretically, I'm like, that's not a bad bet. If I'm going to choose something at random, I might as well choose that at random. And that's kind of my betting strategy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean that's how a lot of people do it at Unabated. That's the top-down strategy. I'm flabbergasted because I'm looking at that Atlanta Washington total over, and that Sport Trade is representing a 5% edge. Which now you would think 42.5 is actually above where the rest of the market is right now, but the 42 is not worth a whole lot. So getting an extra 19 cents over the unabated line, 17 cents, by giving up 1 point is actually, yes, that would be a good trade-off to make. So that's why I was a little bit slow in answering your question. That's a great pickup there that I'm reaching for my phone for. Now I'll let somebody else get it.
What's the biggest for an NFL side or an NFL total? What's the single biggest edge you've seen on the unabated screen? Because I think I've seen in college like 10, 11% for stuff that's down at plus 400, which we call $20. Like what's the biggest, like is 5.5% some of the biggest you've seen for an NFL?
That's actually a very good number. There was actually a situation last night. Caesars put up Niners for next week at -4. And I think that line is, let's see what it is here. Where the Niners play next week. Why can't I spot it? Oh, because I'm sorting that way. Yeah, and I'm on totals. It's, sorry, it's -9.5, and Caesars put up -4. And then for Chargers versus Arizona, they put up Chargers -1. These were like 20% edges. Now will Caesars cancel the bets because they're bad lines? Possibly, but they were there. Like I went and verified, because whenever I see something that's way out of whack, I tend to think, oh, our feed must have gone wrong. But they were both there. And I don't encourage people to jump on things like that because they could cancel the line. It could be termed a palpable error. But, it's tough not to, right? When you see value like that, 20% edge in an NFL game. So, yeah.
A lot of value coming up on Black Friday. We have an insane day for sports trading. 14 NHL games, 14 NBA games, 13 college football games, 4 World Cup games, including a game that Captain Jack calls the rubber match or the rematch of the Revolutionary War. I prefer the War of 1812 rematch, in my opinion. Very undeserving and undiscussed war. And then, of course, it's also Black Friday, a massive sale going on at Unabated. So tell us about that.
Yeah, we're going to have a Black Friday sale that's going to kick off tomorrow and run through Sunday, I believe. And we're offering 50% off your first month if you're not currently a Unabated subscriber. So our monthly cost is $150. This will be 50% off of that. You'll still get your 7-day free trial if you haven't done that before. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to check out Unabated that maybe they've thought, ooh, that cost is a little high. This is a great opportunity to check it out. With a much reduced cost. You'll see that you can make back that money in no time, grinding through some of these edges that we're talking about. And then we'll have a Cyber Monday deal that we're going to announce at the tail end of the weekend as well. So stay tuned for that.
How do you possibly keep all these games straight? I mean, I'm not a math major, but 14 of 14 is 28, plus 4 is 32, plus 13 is more than that. So, I mean, how do you prioritize as you're going through trading throughout your entire day with all this going on? Now, we know you're not going to trade on soccer, but.
Yeah, so I pass on the soccer. I probably pass on the NHL just because I'm a fan of that sport, but I don't bet it much. I'm going to focus on the NBA. I think that's a great card for the NBA. The college football seems pretty fun because those games are kind of spaced out over that day.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of in-game betting in college football on Black Friday, and then maybe take off, 3 or 4 hours, take a nap, get that tryptophan kicks in 24 hours later.
Just in time for Bills Lions,
right?
Tryptophan will hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can well, that's on the day of the game, but no, you can do a lot of things on Black Friday. I think there's a lot of options. But you know what? You can also not bet. You can spend time with family. You can go shopping if you want. So don't feel like you have to bet on Black Friday, but it's a great opportunity to kind of spend the day doing what you like to do.
Or
don't spend time with your family and just trade. I'm joking.
That's an option. One thing I'll add, and I'll announce here on the show is, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Jack. If you deposit on Sporttrade over a certain amount, you get an offer for 1 or 3 free months of Unabated. And rolling out next week, you'll also see in that email that you can actually book 30 minutes with me where I will walk you through as a customer how to get value out of using Unabated and Sporttrade. And one of the things I think that is really cool is not only using this to figure out, well, is there value on Sporttrade, but even if you're not someone in New Jersey, using the Sporttrade prices to figure out if there's value on other venues, as well as using limit orders and say, you know what, 46.5 looks like a really good price for over 42.5 in Atlanta Falcons. Maybe I put a limit buy in at 46 and see if the market likes that. And so there's even more you can get out of an odds screen and arbitraging by using an exchange. And so that's something customers will be able to do as well. And we can walk you through what does this whole 0 to 100 stuff work and how do you get the most out of using unabated in sport trade. So it's really cool you're doing that. Are you going to do a small business Saturday thing as well? If you're going to do Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you got to do some small business Saturday, because who knows, this time next year you might not count as a small business.
This face he's making right now are the wheels turning.
He's thinking about
These
it.
are the turning wheels right now.
You know what I'll do is I'll get together some of our T-shirts and hats, and people that sign up on Small Business Saturday I'll send them a T-shirt and a hat. That's the best I can do on the fly here. But yeah, that's a great. And Alex, you are one of the best people at not only explaining to people how sport trade works, but also how unabated works. And from the moment I've met you, we went to a Phillies game a few years back, and you were telling me about all the bets you were making, and we didn't have unabated at the time. That was sort of like just a glimmer in my eye. And I was saying, we could come up with a tool that kind of points you to these to this value in the market. There's another tool that's out there that's kind of popular, and we feel like we can do better than that tool. And so far, I think we have. And this is really great for not only people that want to make money, but maybe just lose less. Maybe they just want to say, oh, this is still entertainment to me. I'm not looking to make income out of this. But we can make it so you lose less and you get to be more sustainable and you last longer.
Yeah, so sounds like we have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and a little Giving Tuesday action.
Oh, man.
And that is where you'll see in that email, if you deposit $500 or $1,000, you're going to qualify for 1 or 3 free months. And then you can just sign up, with a session with me and tell me about the app. You can tell me what you don't like, or we can walk you through how to get the most amount of value. I mean, I see so much value on this screen right now. How is someone not betting that right now?
Yeah.
Do you not want 5.5% return? This is still here.
Let me pull this up. This is in which market? This is totals?
This is Atlanta Falcons.
You're looking at totals.
NFL totals. I'm sorting in. There it is. And I can see there. And did you see that? And it looks like the price just moved to 47. What Dan has. Mine is still 46.5, so mine might be a little bit slow.
You might be including commission?
He is including commission. I'm not. That is why.
are.
Perfect.
There you go.
And so even with that, and what your hold thing does is it counts commission even if you have that turned off. It's still an edge of 5.5%, which is wild to me. And something tells me that price is not going to be there in about 10 seconds.
I mean, I did give people time.
And so this is what we're talking about, like being able to use Sport Trade as a tool to get the most amount of value out of unabated. I mean, if you open this on College Football Saturday at like 9 a.m., it lights up like a Christmas tree. And you have 20 seconds to go get that one price at Caesars. And once you got it, it's gone. And being able to use Sport Trade as a hedging mechanism, as a primary venue, or just as a price discovery tool, there's just so much I think customers can get out of that. So I'm very much looking forward to leaning in with that with customers.
We want to get to some fun stuff here on the program. Obviously, Thanksgiving week. So we have amassed your sports trades and bets as Thanksgiving foods and or drinks.
Yes.
So obviously everyone has their favorites. They have their favorite trades. They have their favorite things to eat. So we will start with everyone's favorite, the turkey. What is the turkey, Captain Jack? In your estimation, what is the thing everyone should be clamoring for come Turkey Day?
Well, the turkey is clearly the thing that everyone bets. NFL sides, right? Everyone takes a piece of the turkey. Everyone takes a piece of NFL sides on any given NFL weekend.
Now, this is my favorite part of Turkey Day, stuffing. I am an advocate. I am the founder of the Stuffing Year-Round Coalition. I staunchly believe we should be eating stuffing 12 months a year. There's zero reason. If people are going to stuff their face with breads and eat sandwiches, there's no reason to not just consume your bread this way. It's delicious. Stuffing should be a 12-month food. And we are calling this the NFL or totals, rather, because you have to have stuffing if you're going to have turkey.
Turkey and stuffing, right. They go great together, sides and totals.
They go together like gravy. Our next example, which if you are locked into #gambling Twitter, everyone will tell you this is as easy as gravy. Making money on this is gravy, except, go ahead.
What do you think it is? What do you think the
go
thing
ahead.
Gambling Twitter says is the easiest sport to beat right now?
Specifically right now.
Easiest sport. I was thinking you were going to make some kind of closing line value joke.
We don't have any trash cans on the show.
What is an easy? Oh, is it because it's the beginning of like the college basketball season? Everyone thinks they can make money.
It is early season
Wow.
NCAA basketball.
I mean, it is. I guess I've looked at it and I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, so everyone likes a dog in the bookmakers, and I think everybody has a point. But trying to put up markets on all these things for, in some cases, 19, 18-year-old kids that have never played
over
organized
300
basketball.
Division I basketball games
I mean,
or teams.
it's not easy, but it's just as hard for the handicapper, right? I mean, it's not like it's any easier as a better sitting at home. But I have seen that. Do you find that to be true, or is it people just like saying that?
I think it's the latter. I think people like saying that because from what I've seen from the users that are on the Unabated Discord, it has not gone swimmingly for them so far this year. It's been a rough ride, and I keep telling them, well, we got a lot of season to go on. Closing line value in somewhat inefficient markets isn't always the best indicator. So the worm turns, and hopefully the worm's going to turn for the better for a lot of these college basketball bettors so far.
Taters. Mashed taters up next. We all love them. Captain Jack?
I think mashed potatoes are futures bets because your eyes are always bigger than your stomach when you're going through that line of buffet and you scoop out mashed potatoes. You scoop out way too much. And a lot of people bet way too much on futures bets. The nice thing about Sport Trade, of course, is that they can trade themselves out of futures bets all throughout the season. Makes it much more palatable. It's sort of like being able to scoop some of those mashed potatoes back into the pot.
Next up, mac and cheese. Now, I'm obviously very pro mac and cheese, but not at Thanksgiving. You can have mac and cheese 364 if you want to. Why are you wasting carbs and calories on something you could just have? You're looking at me. I want people to see Alex's face right now. Good Lord. I've known you for almost 2 years. You've never once stared at me.
But you
with
just made the point about
with the
you could have
intent to kill.
stuffing 365. Why can't you have mac and cheese 365?
They're different. Very different. Two different things.
All right.
Again, I've also mentioned on the show, don't handle dairy all that well. So that's probably the reason why I'm not super into it. Because of that, we are calling it the NHL trade of Thanksgiving. People seem to love it. People who love it are super into it. It's just not for me. The Flyers haven't been good in a long time, and I'm not going to trade on the Blue Jackets and the Coyotes. So that's what.
Can we go back to the futures thing?
Yeah, sure.
Where we were talking about the eyes being bigger than the stomach.
The mashed potatoes, sure.
And you want to walk people through your Sixers trade?
The one that I've already given back?
Walk us through what happened there. You were so excited
I was
the
very
Sixers
excited. Of course,
futures.
I forgot Doc Rivers was still their coach. But then, obviously, James Harden gets hurt. Joel Embiid gets hurt. Tyrese Maxey gets hurt. The only way that trade increases in value, because now I think it's down to $5 to win the Larry O'Brien trophy, is if they had a great regular season. And they're not going to have a great regular season. I think at this point, their goal is to get a 4 seed just so they have home court. And then they're going to have to slug it out. But I got to tell you, watching this team, it seems like they've been lapped by other Eastern Conference teams that are younger, more athletic, and more engaged defensively with backcourts that are bigger and actually care.
Right.
So to me, that's why you're not going to see a return on that bet, if any, or on that trade, if any, until May at least.
But so, all right.
And for someone with a bankroll of my size, I don't want to have all that tied
you
up
got to
in
be
that.
efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here, so follow this logic for me, right? Do you think for 1 second that is a championship caliber team? Yes or no?
Coming into the season, I thought they had a shot. One of
Really?
maybe 5 teams.
You
to have
look
a
at the
shot.
Sixers' current roster
I looked at the
before
roster.
injuries
I
and said
looked at-
that team can win a
I
championship.
looked at the moves that Daryl Morey made in the offseason, and I said they got tougher, PJ Tucker. They got much more athletic with DeAnthony Melton and Daniel House, and deeper because those guys have played in the playoffs.
Yep.
They've succeeded, and some of those guys can really D up, unlike Korkmaz. Unlike Shake Milton, guys who got meaningful minutes in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
And I saw that and I said, and this is it, right? This is it. This is the season. They're capped out. There are no moves to be made.
Right.
Unless they want to trade Tobias Harris, and somebody's going to have to take Tobias Harris, and they're not taking him.
Right.
This is the year. So I thought all those things were congealed together to create an opportunity for them to maybe not win, but at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals and then maybe get a quarter of the market.
And you know what's great about Sport Trade and being able to do futures is that what you didn't like it, it moved against you, and you got out.
Yeah.
You do this on the other venues that you see on the unabated screen, and if the market's moved against you even an inch, they go a mile. And so your $100 bet is now worth $59. And you're like, come on. I mean, maybe $80, but $59 or whatever it is. I think it's, that's the benefit is like you can take those shots. You can take a little bit more mashed potato on your plate because you can give it back. And so that was actually really well thought through, Dan. And I'm now see your point. I just have watched so many Sixers basketball games and just like it doesn't feel like that.
No, it doesn't. That's why I got. So next up is green bean casserole. Jack.
So green bean casserole for me is the World Cup because green bean casserole, you're in the line to take the food and you go, well, everybody else took green bean casserole. It doesn't really look all that great, but I guess I better take a little. I'm not sure I really even like it, but everybody else is doing it. I better bet it. So they're betting the World Cup. You're betting the World Cup. You're eating the green bean casserole.
Next up, time to get basted, gentlemen. Let's do it. Drinking beer and or wine on your Thanksgiving day.
Yeah, that for me is Thanksgiving football. Now, not just watching those games, but maybe you're playing in a turkey bowl in the neighborhood or with friends or family. Football is the way that we are able to cope with being around too much family. And so for a lot of people, that's also the beer and wine on Thanksgiving Day is being able, the more you do of it, the more you can cope with being around family.
That is sound reasoning, Alex.
Well, I think one of the best things about Thanksgiving is now, I've gotten into this industry, and I think some of the family that I hang out with knows that. And so they'll try to impress me by saying things like, oh, it's the bingo card that you should come up with. It's the trap game. And it's the pros versus Joes game. And I just thought, like, Jeff Benson went on this tirade recently where he's totally right. Like, what does that even mean? What does a trap game even mean? Like, I just don't even understand that. And so it's fun to kind of, I'd like to just kind of get lost in the game itself and maybe have a bet or two just because, it's so hard to tune that out for 6 hours.
Two more here. Pumpkin pie, fan favorite, at least on the right side of the table. This to me is my favorite part of Thanksgiving. Jack, what do you think this relates to in terms of trades?
So pumpkin pie is what did we say pumpkin pie was?
We said it is NBA totals.
Oh, NBA totals. Well, definitely
What are your
for
favorites?
me. Yeah, definitely for me.
That's a sweet treat.
That is the dessert for me. That's where I've made a lot of money over the years. And this year hasn't been as great just because I probably haven't put as much time into it as I said I would. But this Thanksgiving weekend, Wednesday and Friday, the NBA card is packed. There's a day of rest in between, so you get the full lineup normally. You don't get players being rested and things like that. I think it's a great time to bet NBA totals the next couple days.
Our final one, sure to ruffle some feathers out there on the interwebs. This disgusting glob of red is canned cranberry sauce.
Right.
Yeah, it just looks disgusting. Clearly not good for you in any way, shape, or form. It came out of a can, so I can't imagine any of it's natural. And that to us is
No run in first inning.
yes, sir. That's
The
right.
fraud
Preach
bet.
it.
The
Preach
fraud
it.
bet. Now
Preach
here's the thing.
The Nerfy.
The Nerfy.
The Nerfy.
What
And-
about the Yerfy?
Well, see, that's the thing. I actually like cranberry sauce. I don't mind that it's in the shape of a can. And so for me, this is Yerfy. And the reason it's Yerfy is because you don't want to take too much of it because that's not good for your longevity, either as a human being or as a bettor in a lot of different sports books. But for most people, since cranberry sauce seems to be a fraud type of fruit they consumed on Thanksgiving, we'll talk about the fraud of the no-run first inning, which is a popular prop that people totally misunderstand, and they typically bet the wrong way because everyone says, oh, it's the first inning of a game. Of course there's not going to be a run scored. It's only 6 outs needed. There's no run scored in most games. However, it's the top of the lineup. It's pitchers that aren't quite in their zone yet. There's more runs scored in the first inning than any other inning in baseball. And so
How about that stat?
We have talked about this. Jack and I have talked about this, and we did a story on this on our TikTok.
Yeah, so Yerfy is the way to go. Nerfy is not. But so if you don't like cranberry sauce, then it's the Nerfy. If you like cranberry sauce, it's the Yerfy. And I really want to punch the guy that came up with those acronyms because that's what's made that bet so popular is just that Nerfy, Yerfy. saying that's made people want go, oh, I'll bet that. It's called Nerfy.
There's a meme in there somewhere. Nerfy and Yurfy. Quick final words, gentlemen. Real quick, we'll plug again the sweepstakes. Follow us here on Sport Trade and quote tweet the Market Mover Show with hashtag TradeUpNewJersey for your chance to win $100. And again, Unabated running a great deal on Black Friday. Jack, do you want to run that back real quick for us?
50% off your first month if you're a new monthly subscriber. You're going to see the code all over social media starting probably later today, early tomorrow, and that sale is going to run through Sunday.
All right. For Captain Jack Andrews, our founder, CEO, Alex Kane, this has been Market Movers. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we're off the rest of the week. It is Thanksgiving after all. So we'll be right back here next Monday with Anita Marks talking about the entire slate, Black Friday, College Football Saturday, and Sunday as well. We'll catch you then.